Just set a single rock in your yard and roll over it.
Suspension set up for the apocalypse.
How's Colorado?
What's up, Jordi?
What's happening?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, kind of like partly building a bike, partly working on the yard. I'm doing like 4 things and not doing any of them very well.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
How are you?
Pretty good. Just sitting around in a van a whole bunch. So,
I guess it could be worse.
yeah. You're like officially locked down now, right?
Yeah. We're supposed to stay home. You can go out and exercise and you can go out and shop. You're not supposed to be with other people unless obviously you're living with them already. And one theme seems to be like, well, if I get it, I get it. But it's like, it's not you. It's all the people you're coming in contact with.
I saw a meme that was like, your grandparents had to go to war to fight for your country. You have to stay at home to fight for your country. You can do this.
Yeah. You gotta do this.
Yeah, you're right though. It's important to just like, even if you're not at risk, like you're still putting other people at risk if you're going out and spreading it. So what are you doing to keep busy? I mean, what's work looking like and what's playtime looking like for you?
As of now, it's really just staying in contact with people. You know, making sure everybody's getting through and keeping people's spirits high, and obviously scouring the internet for any ideas I can come up with. Or
yeah, totally. Can you imagine if we didn't have internet right now? We'd be going mad.
No clue. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I've been crushing the Netflix.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, I was going through a bunch of the comments from our first episode, and there's a bunch of good feedback on there and a lot of questions for you, Jordi. So I figured this would be a good time to do a little Q&A with you. The number one liked question isn't really even a question, but Peter Hansen said, record Loris Vergier trying to tell Jordi what his bike is doing over the phone.
I can call him right now. He's terrible at answering messages and calling back. I texted him. We'll see what he says.
Okay. Sounds good. And then he also said some high quality video breaking down where low speed versus high speed damping circuits are controlling your suspension would be cool. So maybe a more detailed video on that in the future, but do you want to give a brief on low speed versus high speed?
Yeah, I think it's kind of been done a fair bit. And again, don't think of it as how fast you're going, but how fast the suspension is moving. And you really can't give a breakdown as to where one starts and one picks up or finishes or whatever, because they're always working in tune with each other, or they should be. So it's always a balance, and compression goes that way, rebound goes that way. They're the exact same thing. They're just functioning in different directions. So when the fork is bottomed out and extending, that's going to open up the high-speed rebound circuit. When it's at the top of the travel, that's probably low speed. And the same with compression. When it's small little undulations, that's mostly low speed. When you hit something hard, that's going to open up your high-speed circuit.
All right, and then the second most liked comment was, man, I'm going to butcher some names during this.
That's okay.
But the second most liked comment was from Vedran Barak. He said toolbox tours and mechanics' favorite tools. So also maybe a future video, but do you have any favorite tools?
Yeah, no, not really. But I'm down to do a toolbox thing. I'm not super into it like a lot of the stuff you're seeing nowadays. Like, I like having my stuff organized and decent quality tools, but I'll work with whatever. Your best tool is probably your brain or your hands. Can't do much without those.
Skilly B said, I would love to see a video where Jordi explains shims. Maybe also what you should or can change in terms of shims to get the most out of your suspension.
Basically, a shim or a valve is just metering the flow. So you have a piston that has a bunch of holes in it, and then you put these valves on top, and they change the amount of force it takes to open that piston. So they're regulating flow of damper fluid. And the more you add, the harder it is to open, and the more damping you get, in a nutshell. But yeah, totally. We'll get into some valving stuff later when we can get into the shop.
I think you might have seen this one, but how many jalapenos do you think you can eat?
It depends. Sometimes you get a hot one and then you're done for a while.
We got a lot of questions on the DHX2. SW said, is there a spring calculator for the DHX2?
Yeah, there is on ridefox.com. There's a spring calculator.
Okay.
There's plenty of them online as well.
I'll try to find the link to that and just paste the link in the description of this video. Okay, there also were a few different questions I saw regarding the difference between a coil and an air shock. Do you want to give a brief explanation on that difference?
Basically, coil shocks are incredibly sensitive. They don't require constant maintenance and tuning. But air shocks are very easy to set up and tune in small increments of PSI. You can go up 5, 10, 2, whatever you want. But they do require a bit more maintenance because they have seals, and they do change with temperature a bit. So if you're doing downhill runs and it's freezing cold at the bottom and hot at the top, the shock can be a little bit different. And they tend to not be as sensitive. So if you're looking for all-out grip, air shocks operate with a bit more friction than a coil shock, so they're not going to move as freely and follow the ground quite as well as a coil shock.
Sweet. Oh, this was a cool question from Tom Not Broken. What was the most pressure you felt last season when it came to getting riders a bike set up sorted for race runs? Rachel Atherton at Fort Bill?
Nah, Rachel was easy. I don't know. She just kind of gone her own way and it didn't work. I had a super short amount of time to put it back to where I was pretty sure it should be. So, nah, not that one.
Can you think of another time that you did feel the most pressure setting someone up?
It's always, I don't know, they're kind of all stressful, really. It's not like we've had these clutch moments of, oh, I just got this done and sent him out and he won the race. Each one is kind of stressful in its own way because you're working on something that at very least costs them a win or costs them a podium finish. So each one is pretty stressful for me. That's why I'm only 20 years old and I look like I'm 70.
Fun little known fact there. Nice. Cool. Well, I think that's it for now. Take care of yourself out there in Santa Cruz.
Will do. It's nice and sunny again now.
Yeah.